Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. Today's topic is perhaps the most requested of all time. Most requested of all time on this channel. I've been doing videos for 4 or 5 years now, and I've gotten so many requests about this, I couldn't even begin to mention all the people who asked me about it. It's been widely covered in the news, also including Jalopnik. Jason Torchinsky wrote an article about it, which I read, which is pretty funny and good. And also, Jason recently finished a book, I guess it's coming out, with one of the greatest titles of all time. It's a book on self-driving cars. And the title is Robot, Take the Wheel. The book could be blank. With that title, I'd buy it. So here's the deal. Sacramento County, California has made it illegal, in essence, to work on your own car in your own driveway under most circumstances. This is the kind of thing that happens when people who don't like cars pass laws. Here's the deal. I'm going to read to you straight from the website, and then you can look this up yourself on the Sacramento County website. But they're talking about automotive repairs and what are allowed and what are not allowed by way of repairs to be done at your own residence. Okay, so you have a house, you've got a garage, you've got a car you want to work on. Can you work on your own car in your own driveway? Well, first of all, you have to talk about whether it's minor automotive repair or major automotive repair. Minor automotive repair is brake part replacement, minor tune-ups, change of oil and filter, repair of flat tires, lubrication, and other similar operations. Which, by the way, that's vague right there, and that's going to be a problem. Other similar operations. So I'm allowed to do a minor tune-up, but what's a similar operation to a minor tune-up? I'm allowed to change the oil in the filter. Is flushing the radiator similar to that or not? You know, so other similar operations immediately gets you into the area of vagaries, and vagaries are not good in the law. But here's the deal. Is minor vehicle repair permitted at residences? This is their own question and answer. Answer, yes. However, it is unlawful for any person to engage in or permit others to engage in minor vehicle repair and maintenance in any agricultural, residential, intrastate, and interim residential zones under any of the following circumstances. 1, using tools not normally found in a residence. 2, conducted on vehicles registered to persons not currently residing on the lot or parcel. 3, conducted outside a fully enclosed garage and resulting in any vehicle being inoperable for a period in excess of 24 hours. So taking those backwards, you cannot do the work outside of a garage, presumably in an exposed area, where the vehicle is inoperable for more than 24 hours. And, you know, I kind of see that where you say you got some car out there that's being worked on and now suddenly it's just sitting there. I'm not saying I agree with that, but at least that one makes a little bit of sense to me. But going backwards again, number 2, conducted on vehicles registered to persons not currently residing on the lot. So you can work on your own car, but not someone else's car. Number 1, using tools not normally found in a residence. Normally found in a residence. Whose residence? Okay, I've got relatives who've got tools at their residence that I could show it to you, and you couldn't tell me what it is because it's such an unusual specific tool. And most people, I guess, would have probably a hammer, a screwdriver, pliers. Would pliers be normally in a residence? How about a ratchet set? That's the one that the Torch asked about in the Jalopnik article. Because how many people have got a ratchet set in their house? You know, a set of socket wrenches. How many people have got those? How about a torque wrench? Very few people have a torque wrench in their house. So if I'm using a torque wrench in the driveway, does that suddenly make that activity illegal? And why? Why? You know, you understand that, well, I guess in a residence could refer to the garage also. I was about to say maybe, you know, you don't have a jack in your residence, but I guess you'd have it in your garage. But tools not normally found in a residence. I have a sneaky feeling if I walked up and down my street and did house searches of the tools these people have in their residences, most of them don't have the tools necessary to do a brake part replacement. They might not have the tools to do a minor tune-up. Change the oil and filter. Now, here's the thing. You can sometimes, if you can get a good grip on it, you can undo an oil filter by hand. And I'm a firm believer in the fact that if you do your own oil filters, you can actually put it on by hand and take it off by hand. But they do make a tool for removing an oil filter called an oil filter wrench. And it's got a loop on it and it's got a handle on it that allows you to kind of latch onto it and get a good grip. Most residences would not have an oil filter wrench on the premises. And so using an oil filter wrench while doing an approved minor automotive repair be allowed? No, because it says it is unlawful to do any of the following. Using tools not normally found in a residence. So you can do the oil change, but just don't use an oil wrench to do it. And there's other ones. Repair of flat tires. I have a tire patch kit. I plug tires all the time. I worked at a gas station for years, as I've mentioned before, and I got good at plugging tires. And I know that many places you go to now frown on the practice because they think it's unsafe, or they'll tell you it's unsafe because they want to sell you a tire. But if you get a perfect nail right through the middle of the tire, the surface that hits, that's on the road, not in the sidewall or something, you can plug that and drive on that for thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. And in fact, I believe my tire repair kit's in my O2 Explorer right now. In the back is a little cubby thing there. And I do that because I've actually patched my own tires when I was out someplace. And I mentioned before, I was one time over in Grand Rapids in a circuit court, walked out and I saw one of those sheet metal washers and a screw, a sheet metal screw stuck perfectly in the bottom of my tire. I had just run it over as I pulled in the parking lot. I'm like, oh, okay. So I drove to a gas station, pulled up right in front of an air pump, walked over, pliers, yanked it out, stuffed the tool in there, fixed it, clipped it, put air in it, and drove home. And I drove on that plug for about another 10,000 miles. But following the logic of the way this statute's written in Sacramento County, California, you couldn't do that in your own driveway because the tool being used is not normally found in a residence. I guarantee you I'm the only person within a mile radius of where I live that has one of those tools in his residence. So the people who wrote this statute don't know anything about cars, or they don't care. And in both of those instances, those people shouldn't be writing laws about cars. If you don't understand cars, don't write the laws about cars. And if you don't like cars, well, you got to be careful how you write the laws, because you can't just write stupid laws because you don't like cars. So then here's the thing. What is a major automotive repair? Any vehicle repair or maintenance other than minor vehicle repair, to include any body or painting work of vehicles or vehicle parts operations. Is major automotive repair permitted at residences? Well, no. It is unlawful for any person to engage in or permit others to engage in major repair or maintenance of vehicles in any agricultural, residential, interim, agricultural holding, interim estate, or interim residential zones. So it is unlawful to do any major auto repairs, and major repairs are any vehicle repair or maintenance other than minor vehicle repairs, including body or paint work of vehicles or vehicle parts operations. I don't know what vehicle parts operations is supposed to mean, because the way it's written, I'm not sure if that's tied to any body or painting work, but any vehicle repair or maintenance other than minor vehicle repair. Earlier I said there's 5 things you are allowed to do. Brake part replacement, minor tune-ups, change of oil and filter, repair of flat tires, lubrication. But then there's that 6th weird catch-all, other similar operations. But then they say any vehicle repair or maintenance other than minor vehicle repair is not allowed. You're allowed to do these 5, and you're also allowed to do other similar operations that are not defined, but you're not allowed to do anything else. So again, poorly written, because if you did a Venn diagram, you'd realize a bunch of these things overlap in like 3 dimensions, or 4 dimensions, possibly 5. So a couple other things to point out. Why is code enforcement concerned about residential automotive repair? They answer this question because they know everyone's going to ask it. Why would you pass a stupid law like this? Oh, they have an answer. Why we passed this stupid law. The chemicals involved in major automobile repair can pollute our neighborhoods and endanger the health and well-being of our residents. Furthermore, this kind of activity increases vehicle traffic, and the visual impact can negatively impact property values. So the question is, does me working on my own car in my own driveway increase vehicle traffic? Why would it? My car's already here. In fact, if I drove it someplace else to get it worked on and drove it home, that would increase traffic. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard to explain why working on your own car and your own drive ought to be illegal. Second of all, the chemicals involved in major automobile repair. Let's talk about major automobile repair. What's perhaps the biggest, most major automotive repair you can do? What's the thing that if I said, hey, come on over to my house, I'm doing some engine work, and I want to send chills down your spine, what would I say I want to do? I'd say I spun a bearing on the main crank, a main bearing on my crank, and I want to yank the crankshaft out of my engine, and I want to I'm gonna replace the crankshaft, redo the bearings, and put it all back together again. That's major repairs, my friends. Okay, so to do that, if you read the Motors Manual or Chilton's Manual, it's gonna say number one. We used to joke about this. Number one, turn off engine. Number two, pop hood. And goes through that. But anyways, at some point or another, you're probably going to have to pull the engine out of the car. So you have to dismantle all the things that it's attached to, disconnect all those things, disconnect it from the bell housing, and then you're going to have to, hood will probably have to come off the car, literally off, not just open. And then you're going to lift it up and out, okay? Put it on an engine stand, tear it all apart, and get to the crankshaft. Now, I understand it's possible to do these in another order of operations, depending on the vehicle and so on. But let's just assume we're going to do it my way, which is the hard way. I'm purposely describing to you the hard way. We're going to do this, okay? So we have the engine on a stand. We've dismantled it down to the block because I've decided we also need to possibly look at the pistons and the connecting rods. And we do all this stuff. And then we put it all back together again. And we put it back in the car. And we reconnect everything, and we put the hood back on, close the hood, just make sure it closes. Then we open it back up again, and we start it up, and it runs, okay? We did that operation, and it took some time. The chemicals involved in major automobile repair, the chemicals involved. What chemicals were involved in what I just described to you, which, like I said, is one of the most severe major operations you could do on a car? Well, we'd have to probably drop the oil pan. Okay, that's oil. But then again, you're also allowed to do an oil change back at minor automotive repair, so it can't be those chemicals. What else are we going to do? Well, let's see. To be honest here, we're going to have to admit that when we put the engine back together again, we're going to have to use gaskets. Gaskets. And we're probably going to have to spray the gaskets with the stuff you spray on gaskets when you put them back in place and put the engine back together again. So there is an aerosol can, although I believe they also make it in a little thing that you can dab on with a brush. So there's going to be some gasket sealant. Is that the chemical involved in major automotive repair? Is that really polluting the neighborhoods and endangering the health and well-being of our residents? I don't think so. So, I understand that people who don't know a thing about cars go, cars pollute, there's smog and pollute. Yeah, it's stuff that comes out of the tailpipe when they're running. When I'm dismantling the car, it's not running. It's not spreading pollutants into the air while I'm working on the engine. It's absurd. Chemicals involved in major automobile repair can pollute our neighborhoods and endanger the health and well-being of our residents. Okay. This kind of activity increases vehicle traffic. No. And visual impact can negatively impact property values. Now, I will admit, if I pushed my car to the end of my driveway and set up the cherry picker down there and set my toolboxes up down there and had 5 hillbillies standing around with me drinking beer while we're working on this thing, and you drove by and saw that jamboree at the end of my driveway, you might say, hey, you know something? That doesn't look good. But that's not how we do it. It's not how I do it. I got a garage. Now, I might raise the door of the garage to get some fresh air in there, but then again, it's the wintertime in Michigan. We don't do that. But we would, in the garage, pop the hood, do the work. So if you drove by and looked up the driveway, you might see us in the garage working. Does that negatively impact property values that someone's inside their own garage working on their own car once in a while? I don't think so. And again, I know people out there right now, it's going to be one or two who are going to say, Steve, you have to understand they're cracking down on the people who abuse the system. The people who've got the car at the, parked in the driveway, it's uncovered, it's dismantled. If you ask them what it's doing, they say, oh, I'm going to fix it up someday. That's a little different, though. That's a blight issue. That's something sitting there that's not doing anything. But if I want to pop the hood on my car and work on it in the privacy of my own garage, especially if I can close the door and you can't even see it, chemicals aren't escaping into the neighborhood. No one's getting hurt. And nobody's property values are being decreased. In fact, I would argue that if I was considering buying a house in a neighborhood and somebody said, oh, by the way, Steve, we've got rules, either HOA rules or municipal rules or Sacramento County rules that say you cannot work on your own car in your own driveway, I would not buy the house. I'd go move someplace else. It's that important to me. And you say, Steve, wait a second. You're an attorney who spends time hanging out in the floor of Richard Petty's car. See previous video. Do you really spend that much time working in your car? No, I don't. No, I don't. But to me, that is something I should have the right to do if I need to or if I want to. And like I said, I'm going to plug my own flat tires. I am not going to actually put my car up on jacks, pull the wheel off, and drive it someplace and have someone else do it when I can do it perfectly well myself in 1/10 the time at 1/20th the cost. Okay? So this law is absurd. It is one of the worst laws I've seen in a long time. It's horribly written. And one of the things that's so nefarious to me is that it's going to stay in the books probably because not enough people are going to be speaking up about it. Because in every neighborhood like mine, where there's 20 or 30 houses, I'm the only person ticked off enough to actually do anything about it and make a video. So I hope everybody in Sacramento County who sees this video gets up in arms. And I hope people across America also get up in arms, at least to the point of complaining, commenting, calling somebody, sending an email, or doing something as a show of support for all the people in Sacramento County who like to wrench on their own cars but can't legally because of a stupid law like this. So in case you're curious, and perhaps I should have said this at the front end, if you want to know how I feel about this law is stupid. It's one of the worst laws I've ever seen. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.